Hello everyone, it's me, Waifu Belector, and it is time to talk about the game that nobody asked for, but we got anyway. I'm of course talking about the one, the only, the Lord of the Rings, Gollum. So let's go ahead and talk about this game, what's good about it, what's bad about it, and what's just an indifferent fact. And real quick before I do that, if you end up enjoying the video, remember to like and please subscribe, but even if you don't, thanks for watching. Okay, let's talk about Gollum. Now, as I said, nobody asked for this game, and on the surface, this seems like a terrible idea. A game where you play as Gollum, a creature with no powers or combat abilities that skulks around looking to satiate his ring addiction like a crack fix. What a protagonist, am I right? But yes, while this may seem like a terrible idea, it is in fact proven to be a terrible idea now that I have played it in its entirety. That's right, I unfortunately must relay to you that this is in fact the bad game that we all expected it to be. But before I get into exactly what makes it bad, let's first talk about some of the few positive aspects. Yes, there are a couple of positive aspects, but only one of any type of significance. The less significant one is the inclusion of some good music. There are good atmospheric compositions worthy of the Lord of the Rings name in this otherwise awful game. So just a tiny bit of light in the darkness there. The other more commendable aspect of this game is its actual story. The story, the way it's told, the depictions of characters, the performances of actors, most of the narrative aspects, I'd argue, are actually good. The story is very biblical in execution and sequencing, and although this is a pretty shit game, we aren't getting shit performances from the voice actors or the writers, I'd say. However, they are pulling from good source material, right? So how much credit can we give them? I'll leave that up to you. But I do think the development team prioritized a respect for Tolkien's work as well as the tone that the Peter Jackson films cultivated, and it paid off for them in a narrative capacity. The shakiest character performance I think you can go after is the actor for Gollum / Smeagol himself, but that has less to do with the performance being bad and more to do with the fact that he's not Andy Serkis. It's a painfully iconic depiction to try and live up to. But the buck stops there, guys. Tolkien didn't make a video game, so there's nothing to pull from. And this is where they fuck up. The actual game part. Some would say the most important part of a video game. Yes, while I think this tale is worth telling, I feel as though it would have been more at home as some sort of animated mini-series on Amazon or whatever, because these developers don't seem so sure about how to make a video game. Let's get into it. So, Gollum is allegedly a stealth game, and about half of the game is that, but the other half is God knows what. As you likely know, at one point Gollum is captured and tortured in Mordor, and here in this game we live through those events, including Gollum's time as a slave. And for these early chapters, this game is literally slave work the game, with you doing pointless, nonsensical slave missions that offer no resistance and very little actual gameplay. For example, there was a mission where I had to pull 5 levers. There's no time limit, there are no enemies to hide from, and there's hardly even any of this game's shitty platforming. More on that later. So you tell me how go pull 5 levers, then go back to your barracks and end the day makes for compelling gameplay. Yes sir, you in the back. Correct, it doesn't. It's actually worse than doing nothing somehow. There was another mission where you need to collect the slave numbers of 7 slaves who died in the mines, and oh boy, it's hot down in the mines, so you'll probably have to hurry up, right? Well, Gollum will make remarks as if the heat is unbearable and he's going to die if you don't hurry, and the screen will have a burning red border around it, but this is all nothing. There is no time limit and no danger once again. You can just slowly trot around and grab the tags. I don't even know if we can legally call this gameplay. It gets to the point where characters in the game are literally like, "Oh, Gollum, would you hand me that pen? and the game acts like grabbing the pen is some epic adventure. But sure, whatever, who cares? Let's talk about what I'm sure they believe to be the bones of their game: the stealth and platforming. This stealth is fucking abysmal. Bro, there are like 2 fucking mechanics. You would think this game invented stealth mechanics with how bare bones this shit is. There is literally nothing more you can do but sneak past people and throw rocks at things to distract. Because of course that's all I can do. I'm fucking Gollum, a character who should not be a video game protagonist. But you know what? That's not fair. There is a third mechanic. You can very slowly choke some enemies to death, or throttle them as the game calls it, and this will be a viable option so infrequently that I couldn't blame anyone for forgetting that it's possible. And with these very simple mechanics, you can imagine that the stealth encounters are quite easy. However, there is a horrible lack of flow and environmental cues, so the hardest part of some of these encounters is just trying to figure out where the fuck you're even supposed to be sneaking to. It's pretty annoying sometimes, but don't worry, you won't always be sneaking, because you'll be platforming. Kinda. Imagine if the climbing sections in Uncharted were their own game. Well, you don't have to imagine anymore, because the Lord of the Rings Gollum is here. Except obviously this isn't a Naughty Dog game, so everything is a lot sloppier. The lack of precision is hilarious, honestly. You cannot reliably jump to anything. Pretty much because Gollum has 2 jump distances, the normal jump and a far jump. And trying to jump at any distance in between those 2 that you may have dreamed up is a Herculean feat. You mix an awful jump option with finicky handholds that Gollum just won't grab sometimes, and you've got some wildly pathetic platforming. But we aren't done, folks. This game also has puzzles, and I'll give it to them. There are a couple of good puzzles, but I do mean a couple, literally 2, and they're completely offset by other puzzles that are horrendously obtuse. And some of the painfully obtuse puzzles are really the biggest obstruction of getting through this game. The rest of it, I honestly feel, is bad in the most inoffensive way possible. It's not some aggressive slog to get through, but it's no fucking fun. Think the equivalent to scrolling through Twitter on your phone at the doctor's office while you wait to be called. It's not the worst thing in the world, but you're pretty fucking bored and you wouldn't be there if you didn't have to be. The game actually was making me giggle at times because it's actually bad in the most comedic way possible. I mean, you mix a game this fundamentally bad with a few bugs and glitches that I definitely ran into, and I just couldn't help but laugh. There was a bug where the characters in a scene were just invisible, but my favorite bug has to be one where Smeagol will just die for no reason. I'm not kidding. Sometimes you're just playing the game as intended, doing regular things, and you'll just fall out and die from nothing. Here, check it out. So yeah, what else is there to say? The Lord of the Rings Gollum is truly bad. If I had to put a number on it, I'm feeling like a 3.5 out of 10 is accurate. I still don't think it's as bad as Redfall, funny enough, as evidenced by the fact that I actually finished Gollum. But being more playable than Redfall is hardly the bar. And regardless, both are a skip. Pass on Gollum, save your money, it's not worth playing. But okay, I think that's gonna be all from me for now. If you've played both Gollum and Redfall, drop a comment and tell me which one you think is worse. I'd love to know, but until next time, I am Waifu Collector. I'm just a normal guy. I like hentai, and I like The Lord of the Rings. Goodbye.